Whoa, what's going on, everyone? And welcome to episode 3 of the State Strong podcast. I'm a little fired up because this is kind of a unique episode. Kind of going off the beaten track. Last week was an episode with my very own little brother, David Jacobs, and we actually recorded 2 podcasts. This one, it's a little different because it's not really his story. It's more of us just sitting down, having fun, telling old stories. Everything from crazy stuff we got involved in when we were young to both of us are musicians, and really we're out playing out at a very young age. And, you know, one thing that I think is important is a big theme of this podcast is looking back at positive and negative experiences we've walked through and how those have kind of defined who we are as a person. And part of that is looking back at negative experiences and maybe even poor decisions, and how even though in the moment there was even potential negative consequences, how for a lot of people those negative consequences in the end can potentially have some good come out of them. So that's a really philosophical, positive way to look at a podcast that really is a bunch of funny stories. Now, I will give you a heads up. We have to realize these stories some of them are close to 20 years ago. So him and I are both very different people now. We do get into stories about drinking, things like that. So if that's something that you're a little sensitive to, this might not be the episode for you. But it's all in good fun, and I'm a big believer in if you can't look back at some of the goofy, sometimes stupid things that you've done and laugh at yourself, you might be taking yourself a little too serious. So like I said, I'm going to kind of call this one the Fun Cast, because it's just a fun episode of my brother and I sitting down reminiscing old stories. I hope you enjoy episode 3 of the State Strong podcast. What's up, everyone? Welcome to the State Strong podcast. You got Marty Jacobs here, and a special guest this time, the one and only other Jacobs brother, David Jacobs. What's going on, man?
You see it, sitting here hanging out, ready to do this thing.
I'd just like to say that my brother's committed a little bit more to a beard. It's got me real happy, but it's mind-blowing how much more red his beard is.
And beautiful.
Well, I guess beauty's in the eye of the beholder. So, but we just got to see Ricky Skaggs last night, which is one of our favorites, which was phenomenal. If you've never gotten to see Ricky Skaggs and you're a musician, you're missing out.
Do it.
Yeah, it's funny because we were talking about basically almost all the band members he had were completely different, and they were still just
the best.
I mean, just the fiddle player especially.
Yeah, I was a little hesitant about him because his old fiddle player was my top favorite, but this dude was on par for sure.
Oh yeah, it was unbelievable. So, but we grew up about 45 minutes to an hour of where we're sitting now, and so I was in the car by myself, and I started thinking about a old story, because people meet me like I've only got one tattoo. Now you are a little bit different situation. You've got quite a bit more, and I remember one tattoo you got that. Right after you got it, you made probably a pretty poor decision for what you should do immediately after getting a tattoo. You have any idea what I'm talking about?
Does it have to do with swimming?
Yes.
In a pond that was not the cleanest pond?
So why don't you enlighten everybody about what happened?
Well, pretty much got a tattoo. It was like a half sleeve, which was a poor choice of tattoos anyway. And then decided to go to our dad's house and jump in his pond and go swimming, which is not a clean pond at all. In fact,
it's not a clean pond at all.
If you jump in it too close to the bank, you'll be stuck in the disgusting mud that sticks to your whole body. And some reason, I don't know why, after I got out and however many weeks later, my arm was completely swollen up around my wrist. For about 6 months.
You remember you had blistering bubbles on your forearm.
Yeah, it was terrible.
Yeah, it was. And like, how fresh was your tattoo?
It was still scabby.
I figured it was less than a week you jumped in there.
It was probably right at a week, maybe something like that. And since then, I've had to get a cover up 2 more times over that same tattoo.
Oh, it was crazy. It was crazy. Let me add too. We got our buddy Clay in the room because I just wanted him to be here for some of these stories. So Clay, since I've moved to the area I'm in now, one of Clay's favorite things is for me to tell old stories, like of me and David running around, and we've got a lot.
Yeah, about way too many to even attempt to remember.
Yeah, I know. We did Thanksgiving last year at our house, and David and I didn't even mean to. We hijacked the whole conversation talking about old stories from, and you brought up some stuff that I didn't even remember.
That's usually how it goes, but it's because it was just an everyday occurrence for us, and it wasn't even a big deal. But thinking back now, it's pretty crazy stories.
Oh,
At least
yeah.
funny.
Oh, yeah. When you think back, let's talk about what we were talking about earlier. Remember what we were talking? Was it last night at dinner? We were talking about it so David's a big fan of Justified. He's been trying to get me to watch it. Now I've had like 2 or 3 other people tell me I got to watch it, which it has everything I like.
Everybody should.
Yeah. So for those of y'all listening that like it, know that hopefully at some point you'll get to hear my feedback on watching Justified.
It'll be good. I just finished it last night, and I'm still sad today.
Oh, well, no spoilers.
Oh, no.
So, but we were talking about that, and you said in it there's a cattle prod. And so when the school we grew up in, we're small town Appalachians, if you didn't realize by the accent. So, but the school we grew up in, if you were in high school and you drove, like you parked around the school, and we would be out there for, I don't know, 15, 20 minutes before the buses were even done. So
yeah, just missed by rows. So if you parked towards the back, you was waiting for a while.
Right. And so we'd be doing all kinds of stuff. And so one year was one of our buddies' birthdays, and you remember what you got him?
Oh, yeah, a cattle prod.
Yeah.
You know, for no real reason. I was dating a girl worked at a feed store and seen it and was like, man, I'm going to buy that. I'll give it to my buddy Jeremy. It just happened to be his birthday. And worked out nice. We could walk around waiting to get dismissed and zap people with a cattle prod.
So we would sneak around the cars, and people had no idea. Like, we hadn't told nobody that you got Jeremy a cattle prod. And we would just sneak around and come up behind people and just zap the crap out of them.
And yeah, they were very unhappy about it.
Yeah,
usually.
I'm amazed. You know, I don't remember any of the teachers ever saying nothing about it either.
No, it's kind of one of them things today. If you did it, you would most likely go to jail.
Oh yeah, it'd be bad news. You'd be getting a ride home from the popo.
Oh yeah. But that was just typical any other day stuff.
What? And so you have no idea, because like I feel like we used it for a week and then we never seen it again.
Yeah, someone must have stashed it. I feel like either Jeremy still has it, it got broken, or Troy stole it and got rid of it because he was the most butthurt about it.
Yeah, he snuck up and zapped our buddy Troy, and Troy went after him. And so
Jeremy did this.
Yeah. So let's get this straight. Jeremy had the cattle prod, zapped Troy. Troy took off, ran, jumped into
They circled each other around Jeremy's car a couple times,
right?
And then Jeremy jumped in his car and locked it. And Troy was so mad he punched a dent in Jeremy's car.
And what makes it better is if you could see Jeremy then, because he had this huge white boy afro.
Yeah.
And so he rolls his window down, and his afro comes flying out, screaming at Troy because he put a dent in his car for punching the side of it.
Yeah. That's a funny thing about Jeremy's afro. Whenever we used to play music, there's this one show in particular we played, and we had a photographer come take pictures. And the most noticeable thing in all the pictures where you can see the crowd is Jeremy's afro.
I know what you're talking about.
Sticks out like a sore thumb.
Oh, man, it's amazing.
It was good.
So another thing, oh, man, they're just coming. I got stories coming by now like crazy. So we used to do a bunch of stuff with the radio station in West Virginia, X106.3. So for those of you guys who don't know, like David and I grew up playing music. I was thinking about this too. Like, we just helped clean out our mom's house and found a bunch of old stuff. And so we found a bunch of copies of our first band, Burden, which is very appropriate because we were just everyone that listened to it
seemed so cool at the time.
It seemed so cool at the time, but man, it was It was so bad. And I was trying to think, how long have we been playing music up to that point?
I think maybe 6 months.
That's what I thought. And
It was less than a year.
so really, considering how long we've been playing music, it wasn't that bad.
Yeah, but it was bad.
Yeah, it's very bad. I listened to it on the way back up.
I don't think I could stomach it.
It's great. I gotta listen to it with you, Clay. You'll cry laughing. Like the guy that came in and sung on it. He wasn't part of the band. He was an older dude.
A much older dude.
Super nice though. Like I have nothing negative to say about him.
Kevin?
Yeah, Kevin.
Yeah, Kevin.
Super nice guy. But he sung.
Good singer.
Yeah, and that's something I noticed when I was listening back, especially when he did just his normal range.
Yeah.
He really was good, but he was in a Judas Priest cover band.
And we were not trying to be anything like Judas Priest.
And so we had him sing on the album. And like when I listened to it, like there was a couple moments I was like, man, that wasn't too bad. But overall, it was very, very bad. Like there was stuff in there.
One you already know the one line I think of whenever I think of Kevin in that CD.
Oh yeah.
Oh God. And that even reverts back to the Osborne show that we found of Mom's. That's where the whole thing came from.
So explain what we're talking about here.
Okay. So I'll start with the show.
Yeah.
Mom used to love watching the Ozzy Osbourne show.
And keep in mind, we would go to Ozfest almost every year.
Yeah, our mom included. She loved it for some reason. And in one of our songs,
Sick of It All.
Sick of It All.
Sick of It All.
I don't remember what the line was originally going to be, but for some reason, they found it a good idea to have Kevin say, I don't need some pretty kitty, which is something Ozzy once said, and it made it into our song.
Yeah, and Mom just thought it was the greatest thing ever. But man, when you listen to it now, it's so bad.
I can almost cringe just thinking about it.
Oh, and he says, I forgot, he says it twice.
Yeah.
He sings it once, and then at the end, he's just kind of speaking. And he's like, you're such a pretty kitty.
Oh, God.
Oh, it's so bad. You'd have to hear the song in context, but it's so bad.
I don't even want to hear it. That's the worst thing. I love reminiscing, but I'd rather not hear it.
Oh,
it's about like heterodox.
We've gone. I'm going to save what I was thinking of for later. Let's talk about heterodox now. Again, so I feel like a lot of what helped our musical development is we always play with people that were at least a little older.
Yeah, and usually better, obviously.
Yeah,
we were
like
young, just starting out.
If you're a young musician, one of the best things you can do, I feel like that we could prescribe is find people that are better than you but are willing to play with you.
Yeah,
because it helped a ton. And so we had our original guitar player, Randy, who I met at a guitar store. And I don't remember what it was, if I was playing something or maybe he was playing like Walk from Pantera. And I was like, man, I like this guy. And Randy, I just think Randy had the kind of personality where unless someone kind of initiated a conversation.
Just a little backwards.
Right. And so and the nice thing about David and I is we played bass and drums. So all guitar players needed us.
Yeah.
And so it kept us always getting to play with people. So we did that album with Randy and then had Kevin just sing on it. He wasn't really part of the band. And then later we met another man.
I don't remember how we met him either.
I don't either.
It's weird because it's just a weird thing to think about.
Really?
I don't even know. Guys, well, he was an older guy. He was like 40-something maybe.
No, dude. I feel like he was in his 50s.
I feel like he just lived a rough life.
Well,
I mean,
and
you can't forget the Meigs County Maple Leaf tattoo.
Yeah, Meigs County Maple Leaf.
Yeah, I mean, that's like, I'm pretty sure he was like maybe mid to late 40s.
So I want to be careful here because, again, I think it was good. That experience was good.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
But it was just crazy that we ended up playing in a band together.
Yeah, Randy, he did the smart thing after we all started playing together with Randy, and he was like, nah, I'm out. I'm gone.
Yeah, that should have been our first sign when our first guitar player that's like, you know what? I know you guys suck, but I see potential here, so I'm going to stick around. And then
we went from playing like Pantera-ish kind of music, thrash, to I don't even know what you call it.
Like cheap Iron Maiden.
Pretty much.
It was like cheap Iron Maiden.
Yeah.
And what happened was we had the name Burden, which we thought was so amazing. And then when this guy joined, And the best way I can describe it is if you just think an old school hippie,
Yep.
it was this dude. And it really, as a musician, he really had some talent.
He was decent.
Yeah. Well,
At the time, it seemed like he was extremely good.
Oh, yeah.
Had
At the
everything
time.
together, knew where he was going, how to get there, blah, blah, blah. And then we started playing songs like The Reaper. And I don't even remember how Kill or Be Killed. And it went downhill.
Yeah.
Quick.
So I remember we were talking about, I think we were talking about the band name. And he goes, you know, my last band, I have a banner made and I have all these other songs. And if we just take, now you correct me if I'm wrong.
I'm pretty sure it was more like him saying, well, this is the band name.
You might be right.
And then rolled out his like huge poster that like declared it.
And so, and keep in mind, David and I were like still like young teenagers. So we were just like, oh yeah, whatever.
Hook, line, and sinker.
And so the band name was Heterodox Rocks.
With 2 X's on rocks.
Yeah, yeah. And, you know, if you ask us to this day where the name came, I don't remember.
I have no idea.
No idea. And so
Probably a conspiracy theory.
good possibility. So, and it just dove us into, how long were we playing with him?
Well, much too long, however long it was, but I really don't remember.
And
I have no clue.
listen, you can Google the bird and stuff. I don't think you're going to find it, but I have verified that there is heterodox.
Oh, it's on there. It's on YouTube, but don't look it up. You will not, unless you want to just laugh. You know, it's pretty funny.
That's why I posted a video of it, just because it was so.
I had to untag myself.
So the video that's on there, it's just so strange how these things happen. So when we first played with Randy, and we never really had a singer, somehow we got the Portsmouth Museum to have us come in and play in their like it's like their theater room.
Yeah.
And it was so, and like we didn't have a singer, so we just played covers without a singer. And like we
pretty much, yeah, the only people that came was our immediate friends that we invited.
And we thought we were so cool, man. Like,
yeah.
had my pleather pants on, had my cut-off jean jacket, my mullet, which didn't want it to be a mullet, but
it was a total mullet.
Just the way it grew. And
that's probably why you steered towards the Iron Maiden. You didn't look the part.
There we go. I'm not going to hate. So, and we rocked out like we were playing in a stadium, son. And so later, we got heterodox together. We find another older gentleman who also joined us to fill Randy's spot.
Yeah.
And we booked the museum for Heterodox Rocks.
Mm.
And we had our cousin's band open, which really we should open for them.
Yeah, they were way better than us.
Way better. So we got a light show set up. We had our buddies run the lights for us. And we had a decent turnout.
Unfortunately.
Yeah, for what it was. And the best way I can describe this is, so our cousin's band goes on, they play, and then we play, and we open. You remember what song we opened with?
No.
I'll give you a hint. Me and one of our friends entered from the back, and one of our friends was dressed up.
The Reaper.
The Reaper. Yep. And so the way that the show starts is me and my buddy are in the back, and I've got my wireless unit on, and David and Aaron and the other guy cut into the intro of the song, and my buddy is dressed up
as a big, huge, tall Grim Reaper.
And when I say dressed up, like I'm talking Walmart costume.
Yeah.
With a plastic scythe. And we just think it's the coolest thing ever. And we come walking down the back for this epic, cheap Iron Maiden sounding song. And we get up there and play, and he's up on stage with us, trying to act all dramatic.
Moving all slow, like he's about to reach out and touch someone to death, or crazy.
And that's how the whole show consisted.
Yeah.
We had another song, The Wizard. Was it The Wizard?
The Wizard.
And we had our other buddy dress up.
Yeah. I forgot about that. Yeah. Everyone played a part.
Oh, yeah. It was... All of us had solos.
Yeah. Big, epic solos. It's
supposed
to be like just the craziest.
Yeah. And looking back now, it's bad. It's all bad. But man, it was hilarious. So fast forward and getting back to the other story I was thinking of. So we got once we actually kind of got a decent band going and decent stuff going, that we started to get a good relationship with 106.3. And they're a rock station out of West Virginia. And we got to play X Fest. But the story I'm thinking of. The story I'm thinking of.
Oh, gosh.
Oh, man.
I don't know where this is going. This is horrible.
Do you want to tell it? You want me to tell it?
Oh, I'll tell it. I'll tell it.
So wait, let me tell my side. Because I didn't realize what happened.
You can't give away the good
No. I'll give you the thunder. You can have the thunder. So there's a second stage and a first stage at X Fest. And so we had this big old white excursion that we'd pull this 16-foot trailer with all of our equipment. And David and two of our buddies were in the excursion. And so I walked out there. I don't know if we had played yet or what it was. So I walked out there and I get in the excursion and I'm like, man, it smells awful in here. And they're just all crying, laughing. And so
here we got to do a little layout here first. The second stage, which is where all the local bands played, is right on the Ohio River. It's like literally the stage is floating on the river.
Yeah, you're basically on a dock.
So yeah, we were parked right beside the river. I mean, a stone toss right from there. Well, I decided it was kind of late. You know, I'm sure I'd been drinking and partying, blah, blah, blah. And didn't feel like walking up the hill to find a bathroom. So instead, I found a paper plate and a plastic bag and sat in the front seat of the excursion and did what I had to do. And that's whenever Marty walked in.
So I walked in right after this happened. And were they in there with you?
Yeah, that was the best part. For some reason, my friends accompanied. They joined. Sat in the back seat. I don't know why, but
they stayed in there. And so, like, I get in there, and I'm like, man, it smells. And they're all crying, laughing. And I'm just going on and on. I'm like, man, it literally smells like someone crapped in a bag in here.
That's exactly what happened.
And then
the best part, the absolute best part, was disposing of this bag. You know, it's real quiet down there. There's like a little couple sitting down with their legs hanging over the river. It's like a little drop off, and they're all romantic, sitting there all cuddled up. And I, just happened to walk over towards the stage, a little ways down from them, and drop that bag in the water. Well, the current was going that way, very slowly. And about the time the bag made it there, the couple got up very quickly with a very unsatisfied look on their face and left.
His poop bag floated underneath the couple.
Yeah.
And that ended their date.
Probably a very sour note.
Yeah, oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
Yeah, one of my shining moments.
Oh, yeah. No, that was a good one. I just couldn't believe those guys stayed in there. Like, I was like, why did you guys stay in here?
I don't know. That is a very good question. Very, very good question.
Oh, yeah.
That's just how it was back then. Very carefree and doing stupid stuff that didn't seem stupid at the time, but was very unintelligent.
And don't let me steal all the thunder of thinking up stories. I have like a couple choice ones I always go to.
Yeah.
So I'll tell you another one that I think about a lot is we had a certain friend's house that every Friday, every once in a while, we would get together and party at his house.
His house?
Oh, yeah.
Whose?
So
you're going to toss me a bone here.
I'm going to toss you in here in a minute, because this time we had a plan that we were going.
Oh, yeah, I already know where this is going.
We were going to go get, and realize this is high school days.
Yeah.
So this is like over 10, 12. Well, no, this is like
longer than that.
15 years ago. Yeah. And so we had a plan.
You had a plan.
Oh, that's true.
I just tagged along innocently. This one's all you.
Yeah, that was the first mistake. And so we got a half a thing of Jägermeister, half a gallon of Jägermeister, and the plan was
this is a totally different night. Okay, never mind.
Yeah, you're thinking of a different story.
Yeah, I was. I see.
You know which one I'm talking about now.
Oh, yeah, that was a long night.
And so we were going to all go to the basketball game and watch the basketball game and then go back to our buddy's house and party. And so we went to go pick him up. And we had another friend of ours that was going to go, but he's like, oh, man, I just smoke weed. I'm not going to drink any, And so he we go to pick up our buddy, and I'll never forget what we walked in on.
What we walked in on?
Well, just we opened the door, and from his front door, you can see right into his kitchen.
Oh, yeah.
And he's standing in the kitchen with an empty bottle of wine, just screaming, like, I'm messed up, or what was he saying?
I don't even remember.
Like,
he was
just
hollering just belligerently.
There by himself and drank all of his mom's wine. And David and I looked at each other and we're like, well, we still want to go to the game.
Yeah.
And so we hauled him up and went to the basketball game.
Yep. Yeah.
It was just a bad decision.
Oh, yeah.
It was bad decision after bad decision.
Yeah. And now, is this the same night that I'm thinking of? After the basketball game? Was there anything afterwards?
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Oh, yeah.
Does this story end with me going to sleep on broken glass?
Yes.
Okay.
It's that story.
Yeah, broken glass and broken doors.
Yes. So we end up at the basketball game. There's no way you forgot this.
I don't remember anything about the basketball game.
Oh, man. I'm going to start talking about it and you're going to remember. So we were up there and we're hanging out, and our buddy is so drunk that, you know, the hometown we grew up in, like,
it's a dry county for one.
Yeah,
there's no alcohol at the time.
Yeah, and when it came to sports, like, it was a big deal.
Football and basketball.
Yeah, and so it was packed. Our superintendent's down on the floor, like, it's a big deal. And so every time everyone would get quiet, our buddy would start screaming cuss words as loud as he could. You remember this now?
Yeah, and the thing about our buddy is he's like a smaller, kind of quiet, reserved sort of. He's not the kind of yell in the middle of a crowded room kind of fella.
Yeah, so it was already looking suspicious. He was turning around to girls and saying a lot of inappropriate things. And I remember looking down, and I remember the superintendent was standing by one of the cops and kind of looking at us. And you got to understand, like, our high school that we grew up in, again, small, like, our graduating class, like 80, 90 people.
Yeah.
And David and I were the only kids in that high school with long hair that played heavy metal and looked the way we did.
Yeah, we were kind of infamous.
Yeah, and so, I mean, every time the crowd would get quiet, he would start yelling. And I remember our buddy turned around and said, listen, you guys got to get him out of here.
Yeah.
And so David and I coerced him into the hall, but then he wouldn't leave. Remember what we had to do?
No.
We picked him up by his arms and legs and snuck him out the back hallways.
Yeah, I think I do remember that. Yeah. Yeah, because we was thinking that the cops were going to be right out there following us, because the superintendent definitely knew old boy was feeling a little under the weather.
Yeah.
And man, I forgot all about that.
It was obvious that something was going on. And so we get back to his house and we think, all right, we're good, because we're back, we're safe.
Yeah, well, it's home free, time to have fun.
Yeah, and so we all start taking shots. And then next thing we know, our other buddy, who had said, I'm not going to drink.
Yeah, he was there and he drank.
And next thing you know, we look over and he has the whole bottle tipped back.
Yeah.
And I just remember thinking, I didn't think he was going to drink. And
he shouldn't have.
No, he definitely shouldn't have had. Really, none of us probably should have been, being underage and all.
Well, you know, it's high school. It's allowed.
So,
sort of.
Yeah.
Unofficially allowed.
So we, some more of our buddies showed up because we had told them what was going on. And at that point, our friend that wasn't going to drink, well, let me paint the picture.
This is around Christmas time.
Yeah, that's a good point to add.
Yeah.
Christmas gifts were out. Everything was out. And so our buddy's house, who it was, he was pretty well done for the evening. And so I kind of got him downstairs, and he was kind of curled up in the fetal position in his room. And
lights out.
Lights out. Yeah, done. And so our other buddies come over, and they're drinking. And next thing we know, our buddy that wasn't going to drink.
See, our other buddy that was asleep, he wasn't asleep yet, because the guy that wasn't supposed to drink, he was trying to, like, whoop him for some reason.
Oh, yeah. Well, I'm getting to that.
Yeah.
Because our other buddy, our friends that came over in the middle of it, was talking to our friend that wasn't supposed to be drinking. And next thing you know, he starts swinging on him just for no reason.
Just out of the blue.
And so I was like, oh, you gotta call his aunt. So
I got him detained, sort of. It wasn't too hard. He was having a hard time standing. And other buddy made it back down in the basement, passed out. And finally, I had to call that one guy's aunt, who was like, she was all about our well-being. She was she housed us many times on many occasions. In fact, that's usually where we ended up at to drink. But it seemed like a lot better idea over there. But anyways, so she came and got him. Sometime I wandered off to some other buddy's house that was, I don't even know how far away it is. And we sat up drinking wine. Next thing I know, I'd passed out, and it was like 5:30 in the morning. And they were like, "Hey, our dad's home, man. You got to go. You got to be quiet, blah, blah, blah." So I sneak out the back. It's freezing cold. It's like 30 degrees, frost everywhere.
Tell them what you were wearing.
Flip-flops, shorts, and a cut-off T-shirt. And I don't know. I don't even know where I'm at. Like, I wandered around forever and somehow made my way back to our buddy's house. And I'm beating on the door. I don't remember if I had a phone. I didn't have a phone yet.
No, we didn't have cell phones back then.
So I'm beating on the door. Finally, after like half an hour, Marty opens the door. I walk in, and it was like catastrophe had hit. Christmas presents unwrapped. The closet doors ripped off the hinges, laying on the stairs. And I'm just like, I didn't even know what to do. I just was like, I'm going to bed. I'm not even going to deal with this right now. So I wandered downstairs and went to bed, and ended up, I went to sleep on a bunch of broken glass.
Yeah, so there's a lot of things that happened between David leaving and then when he came back. One of which is our buddy, while we were waiting on his aunt to show up, the one that shouldn't have been drinking, that was swinging on people, I thought, well, I'm going to bring him back to our friend's house, whose house it was, and just sit him down so he's away from everybody until she arrived. And he goes, "Hey, I just want to talk to my friend," our buddy, whose house it was curled up on the ground. And I said, "Oh, okay, no big deal." I thought, what's he going to do? Well, what he did was he grabbed him by the hair and started punching him in the face.
Yeah, I remember that. It was in the kitchen, wasn't it?
No, I was in his room.
What? Oh, maybe I don't remember that.
Well, like I said, we had a lot of alcohol that night.
Yeah, it was
So I'm pulling him off of him, and he does it about 2 or 3 times, and I was like, all right, we got to get this away. So he finally leaves. David's gone. And so it's just me and my one buddy whose house it is. And I start to realize all the things that have happened. Like you said, presents were unwrapped.
Yeah.
A door was broken off the hinges. Someone had broken a bunch of beer bottles in the basement. And I went looking for my buddy, and he had crawled his way up into his mom's room
I remember.
And puked all over the bed, all over the white carpet, and all over the bathroom. And so the whole time I'm thinking, we're screwed, man. And so in my own drunken stupor, I got my buddy to bed. I found some type of cleaner and cleaned up the whole bathroom. And then David got there, and David passed out. He was no help. And so then I found like Elmer's glue and just got the door to where it was closed. I thought, you know what, if I can get it closed,
just look normal.
Yeah, when someone pulls on it and breaks, it'll be like, oh, the door broke.
Broke the closet.
Like, this is my logic going on right now. And then I thought, okay, I can't wrap gifts. I'm not even going to try. So I hid the other gifts. I hid the open ones. And I just covered up the beer bottles. And I thought, we're good. And so the next day, we wake up. I think, is that the morning Mom took it? We went to breakfast with Mom?
Yes, because obviously our friend's mother had found what had happened.
Yeah, so let's explain what happened. So,
and this, her boyfriend or whatever at the time just happened to be like a corrections officer or something like that. So they were pretty stern. And I remember that being like a little bit of fear at the time.
Oh, yeah, because we were asking about him because we hadn't heard from him. And our other buddy, Troy, was like, oh, yeah, he's grounded for a month. And we're like, wait, what? And they go, yeah, they said someone had called and said that some long hair boys in a Jeep had a big party over there. And so they knew all the details.
Yeah.
So for all the work that we put into it,
meant nothing.
Yeah, it meant.
We was over. It was done. Which actually, I mean, didn't affect us any. Poor Drew, or our poor buddy, he he had a rough time for a while. It took him a while to get back into the good graces of his mom.
Oh yeah, it was really bad. And see, we had a thing like if you hung out with us, like there was an unspoken rule, especially at our house.
Oh yeah,
that if you hung out and you're going to be there all night,
and you fell asleep,
if you were the first person to fall asleep,
you were going to regret it.
Yeah, there was no details of what it could be, but
it was never actually even said. It was just kind of known.
Yeah, it was a known rule.
Yeah, I mean, and every single time, I'm pretty sure ever that somebody stayed, oh, they got it.
Oh, yeah.
To the point where some of our buddies wouldn't even come stay.
I know. we had friends that wouldn't come stay the night with us anymore because they knew what would happen.
Yeah, nighttime was like, that's whenever
we came alive.
Yeah, I remember taking the PA outside at 4 in the morning or something and blasting Pantera and hitting golf balls into the cemetery next door. And I mean, I'm sure our neighbors hated us too. But
I was just telling somebody about that, and I can't believe no one ever called the cops.
Oh, yeah.
Because you have to understand, like, the neighborhood we were in was kind of a nice neighborhood.
Oh, yeah. Real nice.
And so, like, and when he said, like, it was like 4 in the morning, and we brought our PA, and, like, when I say a PA, I'm not talking like a car stereo. Like,
I'm talking like band performance, like big PA.
Oh, yeah. And we would just blare music at 4 a.m. and run around the graveyard.
Yeah. Yeah, even since, like, the first week we moved there.
Oh, that's a good story.
It's a short one. It pretty much started with I don't even remember how it started, but it ended with
No. So mom comes home.
Yeah.
Me and you and our buddy Troy. At this point, Troy was our neighbor.
Yeah,
so like
lived right next door.
So mom comes home, and what'd she come home on?
What'd she come home on?
Yeah, what was the scene she came home?
I'm pretty sure it was me riding my skateboard down the street in her thong.
So let's back up here a minute. She came home and you were in your underwear.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
And so she was freaking out because we had just moved into the neighborhood.
Like a week after.
Yeah, we'd been there a week. And she comes home and her boy is out in his underwear skateboarding.
And she's, oh, David, no, you got to go inside.
She's freaking out. And so me and my buddy hold mom down. And David runs to her room, puts her underwear on, and goes back out and starts skateboarding down the street.
Yep. And nobody seemed to care, except for mom. She cared a lot.
Yeah, it was bad. She started crying, and we're like, all right, I think we need to stop.
Yeah. But that was like typical. Every day there was something going on.
What do you feel like was the worst thing we did to someone when they fell asleep?
Oh, man. I don't even know where to start. I remember one night, it was like, looked foggy in the basement because there was so much flour floating around.
Oh yeah, man. We would antique people with flour.
That was like, it got old. We started, I remember buying them little poppers you pull the string on and shoot them right in people's faces, and vacuum cleaner to the face, and cracking eggs in people's ears and chocolate syrup in the ear, and dropping candles on people. And
oh yeah,
that was me to you.
That's what I thought.
That same day.
What did
you hurt your hand?
So what did you do?
Okay, look. So earlier in this day, we were outside across the street, for some reason sword fighting with sticks.
Oh,
and
gosh.
One of our buddies, I don't know why, threw his stick and hit Marty in the hand.
And I thought I broke my hand.
Yeah, like he was devastated.
And it was bad, wasn't it?
It was kind of bad.
Well, if it would have happened to him, you would have gone to the hospital. Some of us are tougher than others.
Yeah. Anyways, so he went to the hospital.
No, I didn't.
Yes, you did, because you came back in a cast.
Did I really?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
I don't remember that.
Yeah. Yeah. So
I don't remember that.
I wouldn't have. But anyways. So he come back in a cast, and he's all tired and whatnot, and just like, horrible day, blah, blah, blah. He falls asleep upstairs on the couch. Me and Randy's there. And, I mean, Randy, he was like co-conspirator and everything. He was all about it. And at first, I went in the fridge because Marty's horrible snorer, always mouth open, just sawing logs. And, I mean, loud, like horribly loud. You could hear the floorboards rumbling. So I get some cheesecake, strawberry cheesecake out of the fridge, and start feeding it to him slowly. And he's eating it in his sleep, like munching on it. I don't even know what he was dreaming about, but I'm sure it was good until I stuffed the whole cake in his mouth.
Towards the end, it was cheesecake.
Yeah. And he woke up slowly, like munching on this cheesecake. Like, what's happening?
Oh man, it was crazy. Like I remember waking up, and I remember I was chewing, and I had, by the time I woke up, it was basically all gone. And I remember thinking, man, what tastes so good in my mouth?
Yeah.
And those two were crying, laughing in front of me, like dying laughing.
And then the funniest part was he fell right back asleep in the exact same spot.
I like sleeping. I like eating.
And I decided to grab one of those big old 3-wick Yankee candles that weigh probably 5 pounds. And
oh, I know. Now I remember what you did with it.
Yeah, I decided to drop it on a very sensitive area from pretty high up.
Oh, that was awful.
Yeah, I bet that was a bad dream.
Yeah, that was awful. Oh gosh.
Yeah. Oh no, it was like the worst day of his life already. He thought his bass career was over, And that's what he wakes up to in the middle of the night.
Yeah, there was no mercy.
Yeah. And I remember, you remember Roly Poly?
Yeah, that's what I was going to talk about.
Yeah, Roly Poly. Oh gosh.
We created our own game we called Roly Poly. And we would wrap each other up in blankets and then just throw each other down the stairs.
Yeah. Like, I don't even know what the goal was or anything, but it was just like the best thing ever.
Oh,
we played forever.
We thought it was hilarious. And you remember one time what we did with you?
Oh, yeah. I got duct taped to a chair and thrown down backwards.
Yes.
Yeah, I remember that.
I'm glad you brought that up.
That was an antique chair, too.
Yeah, Mom would always comment about why stuff was broken.
Yeah.
Like, this went on for a long time, and Mom never realized it was going on.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, that's the craziest part. I mean, I don't know how you wouldn't, but either we were snaky or she was very naive. I don't know.
What do you feel is some of the funniest things that happened when we would play out? Because we had a lot of crazy stuff happen.
Oh, gosh. Yeah. I'll have to think of a good one. I remember, man, there was something at the Monkey Bar. I don't remember what it was.
We had a lot of stuff happen at the Monkey Bar.
Yeah, or really anywhere. We used to play a lot of places that were kind of like hole in the walls, and it'd be a long set, like 4 hours playing covers and this and that. And still, one of my favorite memories was New Year's.
Oh, yeah.
Crazy night.
That was like something out of a movie.
Yeah, it was crazy. Packed little tiny hole in the wall bar, band playing Leonard Skinner, and these 3 guys walk in, just no big deal, and they all sit down at the bar. We know virtually everyone there somewhat. And one of them decided to, I guess, kind of pick a fight with our uncle, who was...
Well, remember, he was giving that one guy a hard time, like that super nice guy in the bar. And our uncle taps him on the shoulder and says, hey, we don't need none of that here.
He's kind of a no-nonsense kind of guy, And I don't remember if words were said or what, but I was standing right next to him, and old dude sucker punched him right in the mouth.
Knocked his 2 front teeth out.
2 front teeth were hanging down. And I'll come back to this. Jimmy, well, too late now. Our uncle, he's wearing square-toed slip-on boots, and I remember him saying that he was thinking about not wearing them that day. And sure enough, this huge brawl. I mean, the whole bar breaks out.
And when he said, like, literally, I mean, I was on stage, and I looked up, and it's like everyone was just getting sucked into this one little area.
Like our cousin who was playing drums at the time, he runs out from behind the drum set. I'm thinking he's about to break it up because, this is his dad. No, he goes in swinging, and then everyone goes in swinging. I mean, it was like the whole bar was one big fight. And I just remember towards the end, Jimmy kicking this dude, whatever, in his square-toed boots, could barely even stand up, slipping around all over the place. Some other guy got drug outside, and 2 of our buddies were beating on him. One buddy was like, he's kind of a tough dude, and he can hold his own. The other one's just not tough at all, but totally talks tough. And that one that is not tough went to kick the dude and missed and kicked our other buddy right in the junk. Right in the junk. It was like the only thing he did that whole night. Wanted to participate, and that's what happened.
Oh man, it was so bad. They fought all up and down the street. There was blood on our excursion. I mean, it was like
it was mayhem.
It was crazy, man.
Yeah, it was. That was wild. That was about the biggest fight I ever seen by far.
Oh yeah, and like I said, like the only people who didn't participate was me and our other cousin that was playing guitar. Like, I just watched it all happen. It was so crazy.
It was. I didn't expect it to get the way it did. I figured it was going to be like a little fight and that'd be it. And it went the total other way.
Oh, it went the distance. I remember one of those guys, like, they just disappeared under this big old mass of people. And one guy popped up out there and goes, "Is that all you got, blankety blank?"
Yeah.
And they just took him out in the street.
Yeah. But those guys did leave. And, I'm sure that they probably regretted their decisions.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, it was bad. And we were a pretty dysfunctional group of guys anyhow. Like, it wouldn't be anything for us to have a show, and like one of the band members gets so drunk that they end up getting cut off from the bar, and then either getting in a fight
or falling over guardrails or
and so it was hard for us to keep shows. Like, I remember we played a bar in Waverly, and I don't even remember what happened. You know which bar I'm talking about?
No.
So we played a bar in Waverly.
I think I remember.
Because we only played there once. Well, so we played there once, and the thing that was tough sometimes is how much work it was. Because if you brought your PA too, oh man,
Thankfully, we had all of our friends that would follow us everywhere. They'd be at our house every day.
They were super helpful.
And if it weren't for them, looking back at the time, it was almost like they'd be there waking you up every day before you was even out of bed. But then whenever it became showtime, it was worth it because they hooked it up. Yeah,
all you guys that might listen to this that were like our roadies back in the day, thank you.
Yeah, big thank you.
Yeah, because it was crazy. But that place, I just remember looking up, and the bar owner was in our singer's face shouting at him, threw the money in his face, and said, "Get out." And I just remember thinking, we need to get out here. Like, it never felt like it was a good situation anyhow.
Yeah. Yeah, there's been a couple of them. And usually it was because of certain someone.
Yeah, we had some guys that were maybe a little bit more notorious than others when it came to getting us in situations.
Yeah. But at the same time, you're a band, so it's like, regardless of someone's actions, you're always still going to be tight, and you're always going to have your brothers or buddies back. But sometimes each person can make very stupid decisions. Oh yeah. I mean, the best way to describe a band is a group of people that are married, basically. Yeah. And a very dysfunctional marriage. Oh yeah, super dysfunctional. But there's a lot of good times too. Going up to Columbus or Cleveland, went up there and played. Oh yeah. I don't think anything crazy happened there though. No, but we found out something that I don't. So if you're listening to this and you try this and it doesn't work, I can verify it's worked twice for me. But remember, we went to the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. Yeah. And because we could prove we were in a band. Yeah, carrying the band card. Yeah, we got in for free. Yeah, it worked. Yeah, so that was awesome. I don't think anything really crazy happened in Cleveland. I don't think so either. It was, it's like there's so many shows that probably something did happen that was crazy, and I don't remember anything about it. But we played a lot of shows. And usually, though, it wasn't during the show. It was afterwards, whether it was after we got back or on the way back. I remember, oh, man, you almost going to jail once. Oh, gosh. That was But for terrifying. The good graces of our new neighbor that we were unaware of, you didn't. Yeah, it was a really bad situation. Because I had been, I was underage, and we were playing in West Virginia. And some of the girls that were of age there were buying me shots. And so then we went the whole night and played, and then all I drank was water. And then we had a lot of weird relational situations also in the band. This guy dated this girl, and then she dated him, and vice versa. And yeah, we're trying to, so you guys know it was some crazy times back then. And so next thing you know, I'm standing in front of the stage watching the band with our guitar player's ex, and she's making out with me. So I was very confused as a young man as to what exactly was happening. Yeah. And so then she was like, "Can you take me home?" And I was like, as a young teenage guy, well, yeah. Yeah, I can. And so then our other buddy jumped in the car with me to get a ride home. And
we're driving home, and I'm going to be honest with you. Now, I haven't drank now for probably 12 years.
Yeah.
And this, like I said, I am not saying that these were good decisions. We are very open and letting everyone know these were very poor decisions.
Yeah,
but
it's still funny story.
Oh, it's hilarious stories. So,
they happen. There ain't no denying it.
It's just what happened. So, I'm driving and I get out in front of there's a Sam's Club, and I get pulled over, and man, my heart starts pounding. I'm like 17 years old, and so I'm scrambling for my wallet, and I realize I don't have my wallet. So I didn't have my driver's license, and she is very drunk.
Yeah.
And then my buddy, he was probably a little bit more intoxicated on items that are a little less favorable than alcohol. We'll put it that way.
Yeah.
And she couldn't find her registration information. And so the cop pulls up.
Was it a statey?
Yeah. Yeah, it was a statey.
They're pretty strict on this road, like really strict.
Oh, yeah. It's a pretty known speed trap.
Yeah, it's like a targeted enforcement area.
Which is probably good. I was an example of that night why it needed to be.
Yeah.
And so he pulls me out, gives me the drunk test, and then he sits me down in the back of his cruiser. And he's like, all right, I'm going to give you a breath. And he asked me if I'd been drinking. And one thing I was really bad at when I was young was lying.
The worst.
I was terrible.
He'd try.
I would try. Sometimes.
But it was the worst.
It was real bad. And so this case, I was just like, I'm just going to tell him the truth. So I was like, yeah, I've been drinking, but I'd been drinking. And so he sits me in the back of the cruiser. He gives me a breathalyzer, and then he goes, okay, I'm going to go talk to your friends, and shuts the door.
This is it.
I was like, I'm going to jail. This is it. Like, I'm thinking about, all right, I'm going to have to call mom. I'm going to have to, like, explain to her why I'm in jail. And then in the back of my mind, I'm thinking about my buddy that decided to get a ride home. And I'm thinking, oh, man.
He's done.
I hope he doesn't have nothing on him.
We're all done.
Like I'm thinking like illegal substances. Like I'm thinking that's going through my mind. And now I'm like, oh crap, I'm going to prison. I'm going to prison, man. And he's there. I'm sure it was like 5 minutes, but it felt like an hour.
It was probably like 2 minutes.
Yeah, it probably was no time. But he's over there. He comes back over, pulls me out of the cop car, and he said, well, I don't know if you know this, but I'm your neighbor.
Yeah, there's a statey had moved in towards the end of our road that we had seen, but we never put it together.
Oh yeah, and he would always park his car at the end of
his driveway.
Yeah, so it's funny. Everyone would slow down, but he was never in it.
Yeah,
and he couldn't have pulled you over there anyhow.
Yeah, but you still slowed down.
Oh, it worked. So he said, "I'm your neighbor," and he said, because of that, and because of this young lady's active status in the military, I'm going to let you go. And what I think happened is I breathed clean, because there is no way.
I'm going to say, I don't know. I'm going to say this was your second shot at life.
Yeah,
and he gave it to you.
Well, that works too. So, oh man, it was scary. Oh, it was so scary.
See, speaking of your lying techniques, I got to tell this one just because I know it's a rough one. It was a rough night, but man, I got to tell it just because
it was bad.
So Marty was going to go to our buddy's house, he said, to hang out, whatever, and they was going to go to the movies.
Yeah.
And I was like, I had no idea of their plan. I was like, well, I want to go, blah, blah, blah. Everyone, Marty, he's 2 years older than me. All of his friends were too, but I always hung out with them anyway. And Marty was like, no, you don't want to go. We're just going to go to the movies. And Mom was like, well, just let him go. And I was like, heck yeah, So I think we're going to the movies. We walked down to our buddy's house. It's, not too far. And we're hanging out and whatnot. And I'm kind of waiting to go to the movies, but we're all just hanging out, messing around. And the funny thing was, we didn't have cell phones back then, but our mom did.
So let me say this. Everyone else had cell phones.
Yeah.
We just didn't have cell phones.
And Mom gave Marty her cell phone so she could call and check up on us. Well, there was another kid in town that was Marty's age, and we were not allowed to go to his house.
Nope.
He was a known big-time pothead. And that was like Mom's one rule pretty much for us was do not go over there.
Because she knows that we had gone there before and gotten high.
Yeah. So after a while, I discover their actual plan was to go over to his house and get high.
Yeah, the whole movie thing was a lie.
Yeah, I had no clue. I was an innocent victim. So we're at our other buddy's house for a while. Mom's called once or twice, and Marty gave some stupid excuse like, oh, we haven't gone to the movies. We're messing around with our buddy out in the field across the street or something. Just stupid. Horrible lie.
Oh, they're bad.
And we made it over to the other buddy's house. We ended up all pitching in a bunch of money, got a bunch of pot, got real high, and
Mom just kept calling.
Probably because of Marty's lies is like, you see right through it like a glass window.
And she had to tell that it was getting worse and worse because every time she'd call, I'd be a little higher. Oh. And the stuff I would say would be so much worse.
Yeah, every time she'd call, he would go into the kitchen, and I would follow because I could hear every word she's saying on the phone.
You had to be so nervous.
And I was, because you were talking to her. So that made me nervous. And I remember one of the last calls was, all I heard was, well, what if she said something, and she said, well, what if I give you a drug test? What do you think about that? And he said, well, I don't want to, but if you make me, I will. She said, are you high? And he just, his head dropped slowly, and he said, yeah. And then she said something. She said a lot of cuss
couple
words.
Choice words.
Yeah, she was furious. And Marty hangs up, and he says, Dave, we got to get back to our other buddy's house. Mom's coming. So I'd take off. I was on a skateboard. I skated right through the main light in town.
And we were on the other end of town.
Yeah, it was like probably half a mile.
At least a half a mile. I think it was probably closer to a mile and a half.
That ain't no mile and a half, but we'll say a mile. Okay. I got there. That was the quickest mile someone has ever made, not in a vehicle or a bike or something. It was fast.
And I was freaking out.
I was gone so quick, he didn't even know I was gone.
I didn't know he was gone. And so I'm running around saying, where's David? Where's David? And they just all keep going, go, man, go.
Yeah. They knew the raft was coming.
Yeah, and so we get over there so quick that our mom's boyfriend at the time comes and picks us up. And he thought someone had given us a ride over there because we had time to catch our breath and everything.
Yeah, it was probably a good 5 or 10 minutes before he showed up. And, obviously, she sent him. He's like, oh, you guys messed up this time. She's mad. And the way I can explain it of how mad she was, our mom used to smoke and, cigarettes. And we knew, but she would always try and hide it. I mean, to the bitter end. Even I remember one time seeing her with a cigarette in her hand in the car and like hiding it while I was talking to her. And it was like to the bitter end, she would never let us know. And whenever we pulled up in that driveway and she was standing out in her pajamas smoking a cigarette, I knew it was bad.
Yeah, she didn't care.
Yeah. And we get out and we're walking towards her and she's just, we know it's coming. She smacks Marty right upside the face and he lets out this big whimper like, oh. And it was just, I seen it coming. She come and went to smack me, and I dodged it. And she got so mad, she grabbed me by the shirt and decked me right in the mouth.
Oh, yeah. And then I remember we went down in the basement.
Well, first, we sat there on the couch.
Oh, yeah, she had to talk to it with us.
Yeah, oh, yeah. It was always like military school. I'm sending you boys to military school. This is it. Your lives are over. Yeah. And this was that's what we always got. And, yeah, I remember staring at my knees the whole time thinking like, man, that'd be a good skateboard ramp.
Oh, yeah, we were
spaced out.
We were blazed out real high. And then I remember, do you remember when we got down in the basement, we were talking about, I didn't even feel it.
Oh, yeah. Well, it sounded like you felt it, but I think it was more of the situation, the anticipation.
And for me, I didn't know that was coming. I was the first one up, and she hit me. And I was like stunned, and then you knew.
Yeah, I seen it coming. I don't even know why. It was just like instinct, But she made sure she didn't miss the second time.
Oh no! And a lot of these stories have involved mom, but our mom is like,
oh, she's a saint.
Yeah, she's one of the great. She taught us like what it means to, you know, love people. And I mean, anything that we did, like she wanted
would
to
support. She'd always 100% be behind us.
Yeah, and everyone that's ever met our mom just loves our mom.
Well,
so.
Except for me playing guitar. She did not support that.
And that was a good
choice.
Yeah.
She said, well, how about I get you a drum set? Why don't you try playing drums?
Yeah, and that was, I think that was a good call.
Yeah, definitely, because the guitar and me just never really clicked. And I'm sure everyone knew but me.
Oh, yeah. Well, so everyone, this episode's a little different because David and I always end up sharing stories, and this is like just a fraction.
Oh, yeah.
Like we always end up reminding each other of like stuff we both forgot about.
Oh, yeah.
But we're going to stop this one here. This is fun, man. We might have to do another just stories episode.
Yeah, something like that.
So, but again, I hope you guys enjoyed. Just a little entertaining one for you all. And come back again next time. Appreciate everyone out there listening to the State Strong podcast. Well, there you go, guys. I'll tell you right now, this is one of my favorite podcasts to record just because it was just a lot of fun sitting down, reminiscing with my brother. I mean, this is sometimes what we do when we gather around the table during holidays, and next thing you know, we start reminiscing old stories that one of us has forgotten and the other one reminds us of. So I hope you enjoyed this. It's just a fun podcast, side note. And until next time, if you haven't already, subscribed to whatever platform you're listening to this on or viewing it on YouTube, and get the word out. Share, post on your social media accounts if you enjoyed this, if you're enjoying the podcast episodes, just so we can get the word out and hopefully get more people enjoying it. Until next time, everyone, thanks.